Hello, my friends. I'm Sherry Johnston. Welcome to my happy place. Today we're going to continue working on this flower sampler that I have, and I want to mention this book again because this is um, Embroidery for All Seasons, Diana Lamps. I did a video review on the book on my channel. If you want to check it out, you don't have to have the book. If you don't own it already, you don't have to have it. I'm just inspired by a flower sampler that's in the middle of her book. I'm using some of the stitches from her book, but not all. Today we're going to do an Agapanthus. It's a big blue flower. It has a head about this big on the top of a tall, thin stalk. These are my embroidery floss colors. She says to use 340 and 341, and I don't have 341, so I'm using 340 and 155. They look almost the same. And I imagine 340 and 341 are probably almost the same too. I'm using, for my green, I have 3347 because it's on a little card and I want to get rid of that. I'm going to start with, and my needles don't really matter because we're not doing knots right now. I just have, I think she uses 2 strands of embroidery floss. I like 3. I have 3 strands of my green, and I'm going to start at the bottom of it's just a line with a circle drawn at the top. We're going to do a wrapped stem stitch. So I'm going to start at the bottom and go, my first stitch is going to go all the way back to that other stitch, and then I'm going to go forward, I don't know, 1/8 of an inch, half a centimeter, something like that, and then come back. I'm going past that stitch and in and back down to that where that stitch is. I used to have these flowers in my front yard. We had uh, a wonderful 3-bedroom house with a pool in the backyard, and the guy who lived there before us was excuse me, the guy who lived there before us was a gardener, and he put in fruit trees, and let's see, I'm going to go back to here. I want that part to be thinner. I'm going to go back here, and now I'm going to start to wrap around this stem stitch. Anyways, this guy put in, we had fruit trees in the backyard. We had rose bushes. I planted a lot of annuals in the backyard. I had a what do you call it? A vegetable garden at one point. I planted asparagus. I live in Southern California, and they're not supposed to grow here. They grow in ditches in other parts of the country. So I had to water them every day. I got out there and I dug a little hole and put them, sort of below ground, and watered them every day. And, the first year you get ferns. The second year you might get a few, they're a little bit bigger. It took, I think, 3 years before I got asparagus that were, half the size of my pinky. And then you can harvest them, and most of them never made it out of the garden. I just rinsed it off with the hose and, ate it right there, right then and there. Okay, but these were in my front yard, and they were, he planted them so that I had one flower every, I don't know, every three or 4 feet part. So I'm going to do one flower, and the stems, she says to do 2 stem stitches side by side. I'm not going to do that. From what I remember, they were thin. They were just sort of thin little stalks. I did look online, and they didn't seem to be really thick. So I'm just going to do, also I have 3 strands of embroidery floss, so I'm doing just a little bit thinner, which also means I'm taking a longer stitch, not going all the way back to where I came out, and just like a little tiny bite out of the fabric there. Then I'm going to end this thread off. And as much as I like to just sit and stitch and chat, I have to cut out parts of this. Okay, so I put in a few there. I'm doing a fly stitch, which come out from here, go over, and it looks like a little Y. That's how I remember the name of this stitch. Fly stitch makes a little Y. And I'm, again, not going around and around like one after the other. I'm going, around like a clock face, like 3, 6, 9, 12. You get the idea. And now I'm going to go over here and turn my work. And these don't have to be perfect at all. At all. It's basically a little blue ball. Little blue ball of fluffy, I don't know, fluffy blue flowers. Never really looked at them closely until I went down this rabbit hole the other day looking at Agapanthus. And I went, oh, that's what those were in my front yard. Called Agapanthus. Okay, I also went down a huge rabbit hole. Oh, in her book, she has gypsophillo. I forget the name of it. And I went, what in the heck is that really? What is that? Well, actually, no, I don't really remember. There's baby's breath. There's Queen Anne's lace. There's cow parsley. There's alyssum. There's, I don't even remember what all, but they're basically in embroidery anyways. They're just basically little, let's do a stab stitch on this one. They're basically little white flowers on top of stalks. And I'm going to do, I don't know, I'll do some. I think what I had in my garden was, I don't know if it was Queen Anne's lace or baby's breath. Those are both around, and only because I don't really remember exactly what it was. They're both around 3 feet tall. And I think I'm going to do one more. I think I'm going to do some little straight stitches here just to fill in. Now in her book, she says to add green in the center. Sorry, I don't remember these being green in the center. I do know right there I have a center little red mark that shouldn't, that'll be gone in a few minutes. But there shouldn't be a center thing there. You shouldn't be able to see that. So let's just kind of cover that up. There we go. Now these are always blue. I suppose you could put them in your garden and make them a different color. You could make them purple. That'd be pretty. All right. Let's go on. Sometimes she looks at me like, what are you doing? Hey, baby. I drew in some oval shapes. This is for my Queen Anne's lace. If you look at them from the top, it looks like a circle. But we're not seeing them from the top, we're seeing them from the side. And this time I have 2 strands of embroidery floss. And I'm just doing some straight stitches to put in the, what do you call it? You know, the things. Now, my stem, I'm going to do a back stitch because that's thinner and yeah, just want it to be thinner. And I'm going to make this one sort of a gentle curve. I'm not following my line at all. My friend Sarah Lee sent me a photograph of some Queen Anne's lace. And she said something like, I bet you could do this. No problem. And I said, piece of cake. There, and she struggles with French knots. Well, we're going to do French knots on the top of this. But the other thing I did want to talk about is baby's breath. Baby's breath looks very much the same. The flowers, if you look from a distance, the flowers are sort of, I don't know, they look a little fluffier. And cow parsley is not exactly the same thing, but has, from a distance, it looks very much the same. If you watch Sherry Iris, she does cow parsley. And I thought, isn't that Queen Anne's lace? And when I looked it up, it said yes, they're very much. Maybe it said they're very similar, but they're not the same thing. Okay. And I'll put in that last one and then come back to do flowers. Okay, now I did little French knots on the top of each one of those little doobies. I don't know if you have to do that. I just do. That's what I do. I'm going to show you how to do a French knot. Again, it just occurred to me that Sarah Lee is left-handed, so she might have trouble with that. There is a lady, Marion. It's called Marion's World. I will put a link in the description to her channel. Also, Ariane Zurcher. They're both left-handed embroiderers, so you might have an easier time learning from them. Anyway, but I'm going to take the needle and point it away from the fabric, and I'm going to wrap one time around my needle, and then I'm going to point the needle back down into the fabric. I'm going to go like one thread away. I don't know that it matters, but it's to the right and up. Then on the back, see the back? I'm holding that between my fingers, holding the bottom of the needle so that I can tighten the knot. Then I put my thumb over that thread and pull the knot through. Now I have, my thread is ecru. My needle is a milliner's needle. I think it's a size 7. If your knots are round, go back to the back, and I'm holding the back of the needle with my, well, with my fingers actually, because I need to tighten it, and then put my thumb over that thread and pull through. If you don't have a milliner's needle, just don't pull your knot so tight, and use the smallest needle that you can. If your knots are not big enough, either use more. I have 2 strands. You could use 3 or 4 strands. You could use a bigger needle. If they're not small enough, you need either fewer strands of thread or a smaller needle. One of those 2 things. All right, now I noticed that I got rid of my little circle thing. I'm going to put knots all in that circle. So I'm going not just above the, what those little dealies are called, the little doobie things. I'm going to go below them as well. Now, I'm not doing leaves with these. In my garden, I'm going to have Queen Anne's lace or baby's breath, and it will be, or what's the other one? Cow parsley. And it will be sort of in amongst the other flowers, like think bouquet. When you get a bouquet of flowers, there's just a little bit of baby's breath in there. And I'm going to end this off before I get too short. I'm already a little short. Okay. So I just wanted to point out here, I added some extra little French knots here and there, just because I had a piece of thread hanging out on my desk and I didn't want to put it away, and I thought, hey, I'll just add some more. So I have here DMC floss 209 and 211, and then I have a piece of this Wonderfill Dazzle. This is from Sue Spargo, and it's a metallic rayon blend. It's DZ5105. Now, you don't have to have Dazzle thread. You can use just DMC floss. It's fine. I would use 2 or 3 different colors. If you have something sparkly, by all means, use it. I'm going to take each one of these, and I'm probably going to do this off camera because this is going to take a while. I'm taking each one of these threads, the 6-stranded cotton. I'm pulling out one by one. I'm pulling them all apart. Okay? And if you pull one by one, it's a little easier to do. Now, when I use the Dazzle thread, and this applies to anything rayon or I think silk. I should have turned this on earlier. I like to take it and run it through my straightener. It makes it easier to manage. My straightener is not hot yet, but you get the idea. I'm going to run this through my straightener a little bit. And I want to do this before I take it apart because I don't know if I have to or not, but anyway, so I'm going to take this apart. I'm going to take this apart. And this works the same way, but be careful if you're using the Suspargo Dazzle thread. There are 2 threads that are metallic. So I try not to just pull those the way that I pull out the DMC threads is I grab one thread and I pull like that. And then let me just do that again. I'll do it on camera. Might be helpful. Just pull on the thread and see how it all bunches up. I'm going to try to not do that with my rayon and metallic threads. But if you have DMC floss, it's you can certainly just do this. If you pull them out one at a time, they don't get as tangled. I mean, it gets, of course, you can see it gets all bunched up and tangled, but it comes undone really easily. Okay, I wasn't going to do this all on camera, but hey. There, see, can you see how it's... See how it's starting to behave a little bit? All right. Mom, we're being have. All right. Now, with this, these are really tricky. They're really kind of tricky to pull apart. But if you just keep working it, you see that coming apart. Now, do you see? I'm going to go off camera so that I can let it dangle. But you see how let's just pet it a little bit. And I don't have one thread. I think I might have 2 on one side and 4 on the other. All right. I'm gonna kind of pet the thread a little bit so that it comes untangled. Yeah, there we go. Calm down, calm down. There we go. There we go. And then I go back. See, this one's just presenting itself. Now I might be able to pull just this metallic one out. Yes, there we go. And then I think I have 2 strands of rayon here. Yep. And those will come apart really easily. Okay, the next thing that I'm going to do is that I'm going to take all of these separately and I'm going to grab the tops and I'm going to try to get them all together at the top. And I'm going to get a needle. I'm going to get a big defined one. I'm going to get a big, this is a tapestry needle, but I want a big chenille needle. Put all these threads in. And I'm going to do that and then come back. All right. And did I mention that you want to put 2 threads together and then pet them, and then put another one there and then pet them again. And I'm petting all the time. Not, I mean, you don't want them, oh, I didn't want them, I want them to stay kind of fluffy. Just saying. Okay, now. Oh, I think this is a number 22. Not positive. I'm going to pinch that and thread it through my needle threader. Then when you use a needle threader like this, be sure that you hold the wires when you pull, because, oh crap, because you don't want to break your needle threader. It's not going to go through this needle. Let's get a bigger needle. Oh, I know I have one that's really here. Yeah, I have one that's huge. That'll work. I don't know what size this is. It's been a long time since I bought it. I probably got it with my yarns when I was doing crochet and knitting, and you get those big yarn needles. I think that if you use only 2 strands of embroidery floss, it would probably still work. And you could get it through a smaller needle. Now, I'm going to do these flowers first and put the foliage in later. Mainly because I haven't decided what kind of foliage to use, and I don't know what kind of flowers these are. I don't know. I started to search and I decided that I had done enough rabbit holes and I needed to just get out of my head and into my hands. like Kate would say. All right, I don't want a really long thing there, but I came in from the top and I went down to the back. All right, you saw me do that. Then on the back, I'm going to do a tacking stitch. Just a little tiny stitch through the back, just through the back fabric. Then I'm going to go back up right next to, there we go, right below where I came out. And then pull through. And I cut that off. I want to leave a little bit because I don't know yet how long I want them to be. So I'm going to do one over here. Same thing. I'm going to go through and pull about there. And do a little stitch through the back. And then back through to the top. And again, I'm going to cut this off. Are they called thistles? Or is it my chat GPT made a suggestion that I do bee balm, and I don't know what that is. And I started to search, and then again, sometimes I get distracted. I get sidetracked and distracted, and I do that to myself. And sometimes I just need to stop. So I'm leaving about a 1/2 inch on the top. And I'm doing a little tiny, like 1/8 inch little stitch. And then I'm going to poke back through to the top and make sure before I pull it through that it's close enough to that. And then let's just check the back and make sure. Yeah. Yippers. And then cut it off. And I put in here some dots. I started to put in dots and then I went, I don't know how much thread I'm going to have to do these. I'm just going to do, I thought I'd do 3 or 5. You want odd numbers. So again, let's go to the back, do a little stitch. And then back through to the top. Forget to breathe. All right. Let's do one more down here. Ah! Okay. I don't want those threads to get caught in there. Yep, they're getting caught. Let's hold that down. And then back to the back. Oh, heck. What have I done? Oh, I'm going to leave that for a minute. Now, I have enough thread. I could probably do 2 more. I don't have the patience for that right now. But I'm going to save that. Because look, there's still a good amount of thread there. All right. Okay. Now I have my thread. I think this is 3 strands. I don't know if I want 3 strands or not. But start over here. I'm going to fold this down a little bit. And, you know, before I do that, I want to just go over this in the back. Just one time over. And then I want to come up on the side. Where am I? I'm up on the side. About there, I guess. Then let's take this and hold it down. Go back down on the other side. These are, I need, 8 hands. Get those little things all. Make sure I'm not on camera. Make sure I'm on camera so that I don't, there we go. Now this time, let's do this. Let's go here. And I'm going to do a scoop stitch. Whoops. And this way. There you go. That way that thread's not going to get caught in all that stuff. There we go. Do another one of those. Whoop. Let's do. No, you know what I'm going to do? I'm going to go to the next one. And tack down those threads in the back. Get those nice and tight. Then I'm going to go there and oh. All right, let's just try this way. Might be a little too big, but I'm gonna just do that. All right, I'll tell you what I'm gonna do. I need to take a little break, and I might just finish those off camera. What I'm gonna do first is just put 1 stitch on each one, but I have to where you can breathe. Okay, I tacked those all down. And I'm going to cut these off now. And I don't normally complain about, oh, getting old, having trouble with the body. I know a lot of people our age do complain a lot. There's a lot to complain about sometimes. But I have to tell you a little story. The other day, I don't know, a few days ago, I don't remember which day. The other day, I was having trouble sleeping. Like I was awake till midnight, maybe 1 o'clock. And then between then and 2 a.m., I kept waking up. I just could not stay asleep. And there was some noise. My bedroom is in the back. I'm in the front of my apartment. I have two windows, one in the front, one in the back. Outside my bedroom window, I could hear, it sounded like a light, like a street light or one of the lights in the parking lot behind me it sounded like it was like shorting out or something. I don't know. It was weird. It was making this very weird noise and it was irritating me. So after waking up consistently, just constantly, I finally came out into the living room here and I lay down on the couch and I turned on YouTube and there was this video that said, for one thing, it said no ads, and it said relaxation healing music, something like that. So I thought, what the heck, I'll turn it on. It was 11 hours with no ads, so I went, okay, cool. Because sometimes I fall asleep in front of YouTube and then an ad comes on and, it just makes you wake up and you go, oh. Anyways, so when I woke up, it was morning and I went, what the heck? I checked because it was an 11-hour long video. Just thought I'd check and see how long was I asleep. I slept for 6 hours straight through. Like, wow. That doesn't happen with me. I wake up often at night. But I slept. So I've been sleeping on the couch. And I'm sleeping so much better listening to this music with no ads. And because I the first night I just slept on the couch. The second night I made up a bed on the couch. So now my bed's made up on the couch. So I lay down to watch YouTube during the day and I just fall asleep. Like I can't seem to stay awake. And I don't have anything going on. I don't have any, you guys don't mind if you don't hear from me for a few days. It's fine. We're all good. So I've been sleeping on the couch and I just can't get over how much I was able to sleep. And I didn't realize how tired I was or how, I don't know, I think I was running on adrenaline or something. I think what happened is that it was my birthday and I was excited about my birthday. And then And I think I just had adrenaline from that. I don't know. Anyway, I'm going to have to finish this off camera because I noticed that I'm not really paying attention to what I'm doing here. I'm just want to give each one of these little flowers a little, what is this called? This is the calyx. I want to give it a little calyx. That one goes over too far. I'm going to leave it. If I had it to do over again, I would do better. But I'm just going to leave it. And I'm going to finish these up and probably just do some straight stitches or maybe a back stitch for the little stems because I don't think they need thick stems. And again, probably no leaves because I don't know. I think if I knew what kind of flowers they are. Is it a thistle? I hate to go and look and go down another rabbit hole. Anyway, I'm going to do that and I'll be back. Okay. I just have to say, not my best work, but I think that every time I look at this, I'm going to go, yeah, that's that day I couldn't keep my eyes open that whole week. Oh, that's funny. Okay. Well, thanks for hanging out with me today. And if you're still with me at this point, hit the hype button, like, share, subscribe, all the things. Leave me a comment. Bye.